So we're here with Delial, who has recently won a little-known tournament called TTAC 15, and we're going to be doing our first in-person interview where we actually talk to him. Hi,
Hello, how's it going?
it's pretty good, though I'm a bit tired today. We have a beautiful image here of Deli talking about turds, and we're gonna ask some questions. So I guess to start off, how would you describe how you play Triple Triad, and what's your style?
I'm gonna say mostly defensive.
Interesting.
You've you've commented on this before, but I seem to have a weird knack for limiting what the opponent can do. Doesn't always work out, but we try.
What I like about this is I think of that as very aggressive.
See that? Okay,
I
I
know
get
we've
it,
had
but
I know
I tend to look at it. Go ahead.
I know we've had this difference before where you think of aggressive as more looking to capture rather than setting things up. And I think
Yes.
of aggressive as controlling the board rather than trying to lock things in. And I think you more than anyone else have a feel for keeping cards and controlling the cards on the board that your opponent is able to play.
Yes. But we have this slight difference of opinion where I think that's defensive,
Right.
especially if I'm going first, where I can limit what they can and can't do. But you're thinking it's offensive, but I mean, both seem correct. So I just tend to think of it in terms of defense.
Sure. How would you think about someone like Slash of Time? Would you also think of him as a defensive player?
When he came back or original Slash?
Ooh, I don't know. I guess original.
Because I think there was a little bit of a difference there.
Ooh, what changed?
Original, well, first of all, he was inactive when he came back. But
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
no, the games I saw him play, it seemed to me like he was on your side of the fence, where he'd be. I'm trying to think of how to explain this, and I'm going to fail. But like he wouldn't be capturing, but he'd pressure knowing he had the capture. Whereas original Slash, it seemed to me more that he would capture if he had it.
Sure.
Like he learned pacing, for lack of a better term. I don't know.
Interesting. So, like,
That's just my.
would an example be kind of like rather than capturing immediately, playing an adjacent corner to a corner starter? Would that fit this, or is that not quite what you're saying?
Yeah, like say the person started in 9, and for some reason, say they couldn't take back from 6, but he could capture from 8. He would play the 8 right away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But now it seems like as he got older, like he'd know that, but he might play something in 1, leaving 8 open for later, and knowing that they'd have to set up to take 6 back, play in 6 to take 9 back. Anyway,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You play rather to
okay.
like force their move rather than kind of engaging immediately.
Then letting it, yeah, it's like he'd wait a turn before doing it.
One of the examples I often come back to is I remember watching you play an open game, like 15 years ago, where I think it was a level one game, and you had a 5-5 corner, and it was just completely safe. And they started in 3, and you could have played it safely in 7. And you just played somewhere else and just kept the card in your hand, knowing it would dominate the rest of the game no matter when it landed. And that was a really,
Yeah,
real eye opener for me because I would have played the safe
but
corner.
I still see that as defensive,
Yeah,
and you
interesting.
still see that as offensive. I don't know if we're ever going to agree on that.
It's interesting how like terminology in Triple Triad is never everyone has their own versions of it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I enjoy about it. We're all playing the same game, but there's so many different. What's a good word here? Minute differences into how we approach it that it ends up being different every game. I
Yeah,
like it.
it's very good. All right, who's your most interesting opponent? I have a pick, but
Interesting,
yeah, leads to
like
fun games.
generic interesting, or interesting how they play moves, or just any definition you can think of.
I think whatever you want. I would think of it, but you don't have to think of it how I do, as we've established, as like who leads to fun games. Like, oh, this is gonna be a good one.
Can I have different answers for open and close?
You can.
Akiyama for open.
Okay.
That was a quick one.
That was not what I was thinking, but it makes a lot
Because
of sense.
no, but there's a reason for this. Is because he does this to me on purpose. I swear to God. We'll be playing 7-minute games. He'll make his move in a minute. It's like, God damn it!
You
I thought
really
I'd looked at everything, and he moved so fast that it makes me double think everything I was thinking about.
I used to think it was a competitive disadvantage for him to play so quickly, and now I'm really not sure. It puts this weird
No, I
pressure
think
on.
it's an advantage.
Yeah.
If he knows it's someone like you or me or Seto that likes to think out our moves, and he plays in 30 seconds, well, okay, Seto's not the greatest example because he does it too, but if he knows it's someone like you or me that's going to take forever and he moves in 30 seconds, it's going to cause us panic.
And it
That's going to
reduces our time
make us
to like.
screw up more often.
It's harder for us to get comfortable in the position.
Exactly. Like if we take the entire 7 moment or minutes and then we eventually move in 30 seconds later he plays in something like 6, you're like, what the hell just happened?
This
I
makes
don't.
me wonder. I think it was against Vid in TTAC's finals. There was a move in Open you made in like a minute and a half. And I was really surprised by that because I was getting in ready for the long haul because you usually, take the time. And it was a pretty early move in the game. And I think it was a strong move, but you just made it almost immediately. Do you remember this move?
I was not specifically, but I remember the mindset behind it.
All right.
Because I was looking for him to play a certain move, and then he did, and I thought I calculated it correctly, so I went really fast. I was like, I think this works. Did I tie that game or win?
Don't remember, but the move was correct. I do remember, like, the move was definitely correct. Uh, I was just really surprised because it was like move 3 or 4. And
And I auto played.
yeah, I thought this is an
That never
Akiyama.
bites me. It never comes back to get me. I swear.
There was a game I
Because you
played
and I
against.
talk more than most.
There was a game I played against you early in the return where I was like insta move and you just took my card and I lost. I don't know if you remember that one, but like I was like I saw this move coming, I had a plan, and I just missed a plus wall, and you just were like, "What are you doing?" and took the card, and then we're like question marks in the chat. Not my finest hour.
No, but that sounds like our banter. So
It does.
why did you do that?
So who's the answer for closed?
For closed?
Of who's the most
Cows.
interesting opponent? Kaus?
Yep.
Ah, good old school answer.
Well, we've also known each other since before we started playing on here. We were playing in a different chat sort of program, and he always continually cleaned my clock. I have learned a lot of the things from playing against him and adapting to that, so he's still one of my biggest influences, and it's kind of funny that I'm like the only one that can get him to play anymore.
That is true. You did bully him into almost winning a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I figured it was time. I'm totally taking credit for that, even though it was luck.
Oh, you should. I think I've heard you credit 2 players, Kaus in closed and
Okay.
Nimloth in open, for your styles development.
I would love if Nimloth would play some games, but I know everybody has life going on because I can't decide between random because it would be fun or a hand game where we just had 9 minutes to do whatever. I think that would be a really interesting game, and he'd probably still beat me.
I'm less sure on that last part, but I think it would be a fascinating game. It was nice when he played 3 games on the return.
Yeah.
I remember he
Who was
absolutely.
that again? Midas?
Yeah, he
or whatever?
absolutely destroyed Midas.
And he had a ridiculous move in 4 that nobody saw coming. It's like, great.
Yep, yep, he still got it. And Akiyama got a tie
Still
off
got
him.
Yep.
Which is, nicely done by Akiyama.
Yeah.
All right, who is your toughest opponent? This can be from whatever like point in time. It doesn't have to be current. It could be like man in 2006.
I'm gonna go with 2 again.
All right.
Give you multiple answers overall because since you've been documenting everything, you can see it. Seto is clearly one.
You have.
Just because we keep meeting and he's pulled ahead by 2 now, I think.
I
Might have
think.
the stats wrong.
I think. All right. Here's my count.
Okay.
I think you beat
That's
him
what I'm
in
looking
the.
for here. I was trying to lead you into that.
I think you beat him in the Irvine semifinals.
Uh-huh.
I know you beat him in Onion Night, the semifinals of that.
Yeah.
I think he beat you in the semifinals of one of the tournaments he won. And you beat him in the final.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
And you beat him in the finals of Triad Wars 6, I think, the three-way finals.
Mm-hmm.
Which is firmly in my head because the first time I logged into the forums, that was the most recent tournament to have ended.
Yeah.
So I think you were 3. No, that's 4-1. 2 semis, 3 or 4-1 coming into the return. And he's gotten 2 back.
I thought it was closer.
But you also did win the.
Definitely 2 back, and he deserved them.
Yeah, he got 1 back when you misclicked, and then you won in a clan league when he misclicked, as I recall.
There needs to be a weird button where you can just, without abusing it, take back your last move and be like, nope, that's clearly not where I'm supposed to go.
If it's been within 2 seconds, no, this is not what I clicked.
Yeah, like not to be abused, just like, I don't know. I play on like a 12-year-old laptop. Sometimes when you go to scroll across a card, it ends up tapping the mouse pad and you pick it up, and yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Seto was my first pick across all, even though I thought he was ahead, but
I think
you have proven me wrong with that again, and I'm okay with that.
I think you still have a slight lead, but it's really close.
Slight lead, yeah. And the other pick would be you.
They're probably not enclosed.
No, not enclosed. Sorry.
no offense taken. I think we have played.
No, but just because you've been doing all the documenting and we talk so much, you've seen actually more than most how my mind works and stuff, and you've been adapting, you've been playing great, and you've been winning everything. So I actually don't look forward to facing you in tournaments except for when it's recorded, because then I know you freak out a little.
This is true. I think I have tried not to pick our matches as the best match of each tournament, but each time we've played, I think we've just put in 5-6 games that the solver is not just there were no mistakes made, but these were the absolute best moves at all points in time. And I think they're some of the best sequences of games that have ever been played. So I've really enjoyed that, even if I'm in agony while they happen.
You do stress out a lot.
I do. Yeah, it's rough.
It is. Also, I have I'm playing a game as we're doing this, and I have no idea what I just did. I played the one card I needed to capture every spot. That was great.
All right. Well, I could bring that up for a moment. All right, we're here. Can you tell us about the game?
I played 7, 6, 5, 4, and 7, and absolutely was not prepared. I goofed up in 7. It went 1, 9, 5, 3, and then I played 7 like an idiot with the one card I needed. Yeah, it's gonna go downhill. I have your favorite response because rares are your natural enemy. I have trapdoor left. It makes 0 sense. 7 was just a terrible move.
Yeah. It does happen. I like Tonberry King. I think that was my favorite card back playing FF8. Because at the start of the game you'd collect cards and it would be up to level 5. And I would
he was a pirate.
Yeah, and I would enjoy running out of hand of 5 Tonberry Kings.
Nice.
Which is perhaps suboptimal.
Wow.
Did you survive?
Okay.
Nicely done. It's scary for them to flip 5.
That is a luck tie, everybody. We will.
So I'm kind of surprised you didn't say turds for most interesting opponent.
I was going to keep him for another answer later on, even though it's not really relevant, but it is to me throughout his whole career.
All right, cool. So in that case, let's move on to my
So
next. Or yeah,
now
continue.
we're in that question. Moving on.
All right. So are there formations you think you like or value more or differently than other players do?
I wouldn't say more, but I like a partial. Okay, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. People set up for an L all the time, right?
Yeah,
So say you had cards in 3, 9, 8, and 7.
3987.
I did this to Sergio. So yeah, so you see where I'm going with this. I did this to Sergio in Triad Wars when you pointed it out, but most people would think to complete the L. I like that broken L when you can play in another spot. So for the one I'm referencing here, I played 5 instead of 6.
Yep. Yeah. I think you have a.
Just because in that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I think you have a. I mean, you have a wider range of moves in most spots than most people, but I think you have like an exceptionally wide range out of that structure.
Yes, I try to. Because I was thinking everybody's expecting you to complete the L, right?
Yep.
So if you can play in another spot to mess that up, then depending on the time limit, you might completely screw the game plan. So I like when they're trying to build a position and you can an L, an X, a T, or what have you, but you can play a spot that will mess with that and the move makes sense. So say they were going for a T, there's 1, 2, 3, and 5 played. If you can play 6 or 9, that seems much more ideal to me than playing 8. So I guess it's not really a favorite position so much as trying to break one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of the most kind of creative moves that are like aren't the standard move in a formation come from where does my opponent need and can I just get rid of that square? And I don't
Yeah.
always find those moves, but I think you do a really nice job of both finding them and finding like what card to get rid of there.
Well, but I screw it up more than often than not. Well, not more often. About 50-50, I'd say.
It
Because
does
you and I
make
have
you.
had these talks too. Like, I have a solid idea, but I'll just get the wrong card or I've calculated the wrong line. But the idea is solid.
This is something Turds has said about you. Is like if I make a dumb looking move, he assumes I've messed up. If you make a dumb looking move, he assumes you've seen something he hasn't. And like you might have gotten that wrong, but you've seen something interesting, right? It's not like a panic decision usually, though sometimes you do get low on time.
No. Yes. And I have made panic moves just as much as everybody, but at the same time, I have a weird knack for recovering from them sometimes.
No, you do.
Doesn't always work, but
I
sometimes I can do that.
I thought I don't know if you remember the game. It was against Akiyama in the quarterfinals of this last tournament, but there were cards. It had gone like 1-4-8, and Akiyama played in 7, and I was just sure you had a comfortable tie in 5, and I miscalculated. That was a losing move, and you found this totally bananas tie in 3, and I was just going, okay, Deli's blown it. You know, he's trying to be too creative. It was the only tie in the position. It was a perfect move.
I do remember that because I remember you talking to me after because you said
Okay,
uh, that you thought I was going to play in 5, and I was like, no, man, 5 totally lost.
you did
And
say
he's like,
count
how did you?
again.
And you were like, how did you see that at the time? Because I wanted him to play in 7, and he did, and I thought I only had one move.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know how I get there sometimes, but I do.
All right. Favorite way to meet a corner starter, a side starter, and a center starter.
I think that's dependent on a couple of things.
Sure.
So, do you want a generic answer, or do we go in depth here?
I would love to go in depth.
Okay, so first, well, open and close is the basic one
Right.
because if somebody starts in 5 and close, you've got to figure they have at least 3 spots.
That is Smokes' rule.
Smokes' rule is?
Oh, Smokes' rule is you have to have. I forget if it's 2 or 3 sides, but you should have the plus wall on 2 or 3 sides or same wall.
Yeah. But then you have to take the rules into account, which is point 2 here, because if there's no plus or same wall and they still start in 5, you have to figure that they're going to have 1 or 2 corners they can set up in, right?
Yep.
Logical?
Yeah.
So in closed, if there's a center starter that this is only hitting 1, I'd like to start on the side. Preferably not flipping. There's a reason for that.
Do you like to match or to go under?
Yes. So that they can't combo through and you can start developing the board in your favor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like, say they played Spur in 5. If you played something with a 4 and 4, that would be my ideal move.
So you prefer matching
So
than
that
doing a
Cypher
lower
getting
number? Like
matching or.
you prefer having the same number facing towards 5 rather than like a lower number facing towards 5.
Yes.
All right.
Because then I can flip 5 and know they're not going to go back through my starter.
Yeah. Makes sense.
See, I still think that's defensive to me, but anyway.
No, I think that probably is defensive. I think
because,
you're right on that one.
because that's the second one. If the walls are not on and you play one that's just touching with the same number, they're never going to be able to combo back through your starter from the 5, which is what they want you to flip. And then they can't really wall. So if, say, trying to think about it, what's the A495 from Suikoden 3?
I know what you mean, but I
The
don't know
girl with
the
the
name.
water. So if you played her in 4, they can never take it from 1 with the walls not on. And they'd have to have an A up, which means they're 98% of the time not going to have the A to the right unless they have EDA.
Sure.
So you can set up that way. So I think that's a decent one. That was closed. In open, it really depends on the cards. And I'd say at least a good 70% of the time, I'm going to play a corner to try and set up my cards.
I'm on board with that. I think you said something. I want to go back for a sec. So against a Cypher
Sure.
5 starter, you said the ideal was to what I would call match in 4. And I think it's interesting you
Okay. Yeah.
4 rather than 6, 2, 6, or 8. And I think I agree because by leaving those squares
Well,
open, you give yourself more combo potential through 5 later.
yes. Because if you leave the higher numbers facing out, there's more chance you're going to flip something back.
Right, you're giving yourself tools for
Take,
later.
it's kind of the same principle, at least in my head, which is another. A lot of people play a weak corner starter, right?
Yep.
Say they had a 5-5 corner that's 3-1 is the other numbers, and they play that in 9. So it's 3-5-5-1, 3 and 1 are facing out.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if they do that in 5. If you can isolate one of the lower numbers that's never going to combo back through, but they only have the higher ones facing out, if you get a plus or a same in 2 or 8 with the higher number facing out towards 6, there's more chance for you to combo through.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is deeper than I thought I was going to get. Okay.
Do you want to go into side starters and corner starters?
Absolutely. Okay, so again, closed, depending on if walls are on or off. This, I can't say I've done it that much recently, but I really like meeting a side with the opposite side,
Like,
hoping to make them play 5.
so 4 with 6, hoping they go 5, which they
Yeah,
usually will. There's
or 2
very
with
little
8.
choice there.
This is enclosed because a lot of things are going to happen, and often that comes back to bite me. So,
Sure. So why is it desirable to have that line down the middle? I personally hate defending the line enclosed. I panic. It's not something I'm comfortable in.
well, it also depends on the walls on or off again, and which levels and where the high edge is and everything. But if you can capture 3 and 9 with your starter and 6, We're going on second turn still.
Yep.
Um, with a high number facing out and walls aren't on, you're going to be fine, probably. Because the only time they're okay, so say they said 5 and there was a same or a plus to flip 6. You go in either 3 or 9, they're going to have to go the opposite.
Because even
Well,
if
not
they,
going to have to, but
but even
most likely to.
once you go 3, even if they have to, they probably can't take it immediately. That's just structurally bad. So
No,
yeah, they're going 9.
is the assumption. I play poker too, so I like to gamble a little.
Right.
So, and my assumptions are not always correct. They turn out to be faulty, at least. I want to say 55% of the time because I pitch about close more than anything else. But it's also its own art because there have been some great close players, not the greatest at open, but they will absolutely dominate you in closed, and that's another talk for another day. But just my mindset behind it is they're going to have to spend 1, 2, 3 turns to isolate one card, right? Maybe.
Yep.
Because if you have something in 8 and can flip back through 6 and possibly 5, depending on what the combination was, they're expending 3 turns to get one card, which is not always safe. Does that make sense?
That's an interesting way of thinking about it. I've not thought much in triple triad about the cost of a turn. So it's an
Well, you
interesting
only have
theory.
5 cards, right?
Yep, that's true.
And you're always big on the first person to isolate a card is going to end up winning, which is true a lot of the time. But if they have to spend 3 turns to do it, they're leaving so many things open and so many things, if it's random especially, to chance that they're not going to have especially with no walls on, that they're not going to have the specific number combinations to stammer plus that you can essentially try to work averages.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Which is also how it bites me half the time
Sure.
because sometimes they just have, and you're screwed.
So I don't know if you've ever looked at the GB records. It seems to bite you less than it bites literally anyone else.
That's when I can finish them. I've been having a terrible run of late.
That's true. But you did win a major, so it's probably going to be okay.
I did. I will take that, and it was great. And I had a lot of luck, and it was great.
How about a favorite way to meet a corner starter while we're giving, you're giving a clinic here?
Don't take these words to heart, everybody, because they do not work all the time. But again, enclosed, most likely 5, which is a terrible cop out because you're leaving both squares open. But if they happen to have both, you're screwed.
Right.
In open, I think the one I'm most guilty of is the opposite corner.
I was thinking that too for you.
There's been a couple sides where you've been, what the fuck are you doing? Pardon my French. Sorry that I don't know if this is.
It's all good.
But not even weak side because open I will take all the time to read as much as I can. But if I can at least play one side safely, it'll usually be adjacent corner, so 1 to 9 or 3 met by 7.
Yeah. I'm thinking about you in opposite corners and how I've kind of moved off them because I feel like they're very good but also high risk. Like they just lead to complex positions.
Yep,
And I tend to
they
steer
do.
away from that and you tend to steer into that,
I love me some complex positions.
which is great. It means your games are a delight to watch.
Yay! Thank you for saying that.
Do you have a preferred starter type? And does that change between random and hand games? Also closed, of course.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Excellent details. Thank you so much.
Closed random is about a 50-50 split between a strong corner and a weak corner. I personally don't like 5 myself. I'd rather have them do it and leave the 4 squares open.
It does seem like a bunch of the strategies you've said involve making sure the opponent is the one to have played 5 and that 5 will be theirs for the late game.
Well, it's the center position on the board. It has the most squares touching it.
Yeah.
because any other time you're going to be playing a square that only has 3 touching it. 5 is the only one with 4. I'd rather have them with, okay, well, this is going back to your thing about offense versus defense. I'd rather have them defend more. See, I just messed my own argument.
Nicely
False.
done. All right, so closed random, it's going to be corners of some variety.
Yeah. Side. No, no. Most of my hands tend to. I don't want to say I always have at least 3 corners in a constructed hand, but I usually do. I'll usually have 2 matching in another.
That sounds right, yeah. You're not as committed to having 4
Mhm.
corners as a lot of players, but you will have at least 3.
I like to have 3 because you have to think that's at least 2 in one direction and 1 in another at any given time.
Yeah.
Say you had Squall Cipher and the A946 from Final Fantasy 11 or whatever it was. That means you have 2 nines to the right, 2 A's up, and then you have Salmon plus Vault with all the, depending on what the rules are. But you at least have one, two, no, at least 2 out of the 4 directions covered with those 3 cards. In theory.
Yep, yeah. I thought,
Doesn't always work out like that.
on the note of covering cards, my videos will talk about this, but I really thought it was brilliant when you were facing Tezuka in the semifinals, and he made the call that 6-8-6-8 would dominate every card starting with a D, and then you found like the one card that was a 9-9 corner that 6-8-6-8 was just useless against.
So the best part about this story is I pondered doing it before game 1. I said it to you guys in chat. I was like, I should really use this 9-9-5-4. I ended up going with Takesis and almost lost that game because that card just ruled everything. But then
6-8-6-8
he
has talk
only
dominant.
changed the lower cards.
Yeah, to be honest, I tuned you out when you said that because I thought it was just ridiculous. But then it was,
You thought I was joking.
yep,
I was like, no,
no, I'm serious.
nobody's going to expect the 9-9-5-4. Everybody knows I'm going to use Cypher. But he's probably going to go on all the 8s, and he did. And he almost won that game because I used Takesis, and I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do with this? And then I changed, and he changed the lower levels, and thankfully the 9954 or 9549, sorry, he had nothing to do, and I was like, "Yep,
brilliant adjustment, and like really smart from
thank you
Tezuka
very
too.
much."
Like, I really like when something is like, it's like leveling in poker, right? Where like,
Yep.
you know, beginning players are thinking just like, what are my cards, and then better players are like, what do they think I have, right? And you always want to be kind
Mm-hmm.
of one level of thinking above them. Like, if I'm thinking, what do you think I think you have, and you're thinking, I don't know what these cards are, like my extra thinking is useless, right?
Yep.
And you want to be that one level ahead. And I thought it was just this wonderful example in Triple Triad of Tezuka having come up with this really smart idea and you still managing to be a level ahead of it. I really enjoyed that.
I did too, mainly because I won and didn't lose the first game. But
Sure.
I mean, he played great as well, so I can't. I cannot. Yeah, no, I'm not going to say anything bad about his playing at all because he didn't.
Tezuka has lost 2 games in 2 TTACs and has a championship in a semifinals. And both those losses were to you this time.
Right?
It's an incredible run from Tezuka.
That is.
Like, I bet that's never been done before. Like, everyone loses.
No, you have all these stats of ridiculous runs. I'm pretty sure that should be on there.
Sadly, we don't know like what scores were in past TTACs, so we don't know like who 2-0'd and who 2-1'd.
Oh, okay.
So we can't quite compare it, but I bet it's never been done.
Well, you just said it was a semi and a final. I mean, you put anybody on a 2-tournament streak, and that does not happen very often.
This is very true. So, how do you spend time during the opponent's move? Are you like thinking specific lines, thinking about general things? Is it like spacing out and rest time?
I am still looking at my lines from my starter, and then usually regretting it when I see a move I missed. And general things, depending on who the opponent is. We're a pretty close knit community, so some people you can kind of assume what they're going to do.
This is fair.
Sounds terrible to say, but it sounds terrible to say, but you can.
Yeah. And often it's not a bad thing. It's
And
just like they're good at finding moves of
well,
this type.
especially when they prove you wrong and completely stomp you, and it's great.
It is great.
I, I think they're going to do this. Nope. No, they did not do that, and I made a mistake. I assumed.
And
But
obnoxiously, Akiyama did that other move in 22 seconds.
yeah, exactly. That's a great example. But most of the time, I'm still trying to make sure my line works and see if there's, like, say I started in one. I will. Okay, so we talk all the time about adjacent corners, or what's the other one? 1 to 7.
I would call that an adjacent corner.
Okay, another adjacent corner. But say you start in one, and then say you're playing the oven. What if he starts in 6? Which he is quite want to do. So I'm still spending at least half of the time making sure my line didn't completely screw up what I was trying to do.
Right.
And the other half is spacing out and playing video games. Sorry, guys.
I think it would be really hard to maintain full concentration all the time on both players' moves. I think that would be pretty exhausting.
As you've seen, I do not always succeed
Sure.
at all.
All right.
But,
Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
oh, I was going to say, but I still keep doing it because that's the way I am.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. What's your proudest triple triad moment?
Yeah. My proudest moment.
I realize you have very few to choose between. That was teasing.
It's none of the singles ones. I'm not saying that lightly, that I, like, I'm proud that I won tournaments, but it's helping the Clan Wars teams.
Ooh, good choice. Which Clan Wars team specifically? Like,
I'll be damned if I can remember the first one that I was part of that we won. Might need stats help here.
I don't have great records here. Were you on the like? There was an Avalanche team that you could have been on. There was a Triforce. There's obviously Divas,
I've been
Zodiac
on
Braves.
Avalanche, Clan Team. Yeah, Avalanche Divas. I was on Zodiac Braves once, I think.
Yep, that sounds right. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find this quickly. I'm sorry.
All right, wait. I'm in a game. I can bring up my icons. Aha. That's okay. No. This is. I should have thought these out better.
No, you're good. All right, but if you are in a game, that means I can click watch game and go.
You're going to be unhappy. I was on BOS teams too.
I am gonna be unhappy, but that's okay.
Clan does. I am playing Cliffy.
Cliffy. All right, and we're there. And you have
Well, the earliest one I played 8 as my last move. The earliest ones, I have a Clan Wars 4 and a Clan League 4 and a Clan Wars 6. Those appear to be the first ones.
the Clan Wars 12 one says Brotherhood of Seed
Which
on it.
was, does it show the, no?
Might say in the Shrine.
It does not show which clan it was for Clan League.
Shrine, Clan Wars 4 was Zodiac Braves, Clan Wars 6 was Divas.
Yeah, but six does not. That's disappointing. I'm pretty sure the league ones were Triforce at the beginning. I could be wrong.
That would be with like
All
Shuriken
right.
in
Well,
charge.
I might be proven totally wrong here, everybody. Oh, what Zodiac Graves? Oh my God! Everybody ready for me to lose terribly here?
We're getting excited.
That was the one spot I did not want him to play in. Right.
Go 5 without flipping
But
6.
he did play 7-4. Sorry. Yes. Wait. Which one? Zodiac Graves would have been with Kamikaze. Triforce would have been with Shirt.
Shuriken, yeah. It was mostly before my time.
I have to play 5 because he played 7-4-4-6, and he probably has another one. Fortunate.
Yeah.
Well, it's only 8-2. I'll live. Or 7-3 if you can't flip poo poo. Anyway, yeah, the proudest moments are definitely the clan ones because this is gonna sound so arrogant, and I don't want it to, but I know I'm decent at it singly. I love being able to help out a clan. It's more of a sense of a community, which is what we should all have. And I'm spitting platitudes. Look at me go.
No, this makes sense. Yeah. 7-3.
Yeah, he had it. Balls. 7-3. I'll take it.
I really like when people identify clan stuff as their favorite achievements. I think it's valuing kind of the site more than the self, and that's really nice.
Exactly. I mean, we've been here playing for so long. I think we all. This is going to sound sappy as hell again. But we all support each other, and I'd rather. It's why I've been a part of so many clans. It sounds terrible, but just. I don't know. It made more sense in my head.
No, it's a good answer, and I think you've been very good at being not like the front face of a clan, but one of the like immediately supporting people behind them.
Hmm. I try to. That's exactly what I'm going for. So thank you for noticing that.
All right. Well, our next question is very relevant and topical. Should Delial
Mm-hmm.
be banned? Yes or absolutely?
Well, I'm going to have to go with yes because absolutely is definitive. Yes can happen whenever. Next.
Fair enough. Should Elemental be abolished? Yes or immediately?
Stick to your answers. I'll stick with the yes.
Sure.
I don't really think it should. I think you just need to learn how to add.
Tell that the flash of time. Uh, I think
Dalamar is the biggest, well, one of the biggest proponents of Elemental with good reason because it's pretty basic in what it does. You just have to figure out it says plus and minus one on it. It's not.
so. I wish that it was consistent, like that the plus minus one also affected sames and pluses. I wish it didn't affect like half of the way cards interact, but not the other half. Like it affects captures and combo,
Right.
but not same plus plus wall
Okay,
same wall. That's my complaint if I'm trying to
but
be, serious and not obnoxious.
okay, but it's a way to get around same. Okay, so say 6, 9, and 8 are filled. There's two sixes facing towards 5 from 6 and 8, and somebody plays a 3-6-6-4 or something in 5. Flips both, right?
Yep.
Because it's the same. But then the only difference is now that card might be lower or higher, depending. That one doesn't have an element on it, but pick one with an element. That got a +1. So now it's a 7-7 facing it. That's the only thing it changes.
Yep.
You'd think I'd have more of a problem with that based on what I said about my starters and close.
I think that's I hadn't really thought about that. I sort of thought of it as ruining sames instead of like this is the only thing that makes sames not so guaranteed to not be comboable. That's an interesting perspective on it.
It It is what you just said.
Yeah.
It ruins Same's ability to not be comboable, because if that 5 card, you only have those 3 played, someone sets up on 1, say he has 2 and 4, everything's going to flip, possibly. If it was a +1, if it's a -1, nothing flips.
But things could flip the other way too. Yeah.
Yeah. So say you ended up playing 2 and he played 4, but then you get to play 3 and somehow, yeah. So, okay, so if it was a -1, then 6 wouldn't flip, so 6 would still be his. And then you could play 3 and flip everything back, and you're probably going to win.
This is true.
It's just an extra layer of strategy, which I thought you'd be all about, but you just always complain about it. I don't get it.
Yeah. Sometimes you commit to a bit and then you like become the thing you're pretending to be, and it ends up
Become the
just
pit, which is why I called you an honorary Canadian.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, moving back to the interview.
All right, next question.
Right.
Which clans will always have a place in your heart?
Given the line we've been on, all of them. There was different times at different places in my life, and I've been part of them, and I've just been trying to contribute and win for clans. Every one that I've joined had a different reason for doing, and all of them.
Nice. Player
That
you
was a very diplomatic answer.
player you think is most underrated?
This is why I wanted you to change the background, and it's not as true anymore because people are realizing he's ridiculous, and he's been on the most insane run since the site came back, even bigger than mine. Turds.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, but okay. I don't want to say this in a bad way. He wasn't as good before. Clearly, everybody's gotten better, but he was still really good back then. He just had some unfortunate circumstances and ended up going out early. And then, yeah, so, yeah, turds. Shout out, buddy.
One thing I think is interesting about like exactly you and turds is more than I think anyone else I've talked to, you will very specifically be like, I like this strategy, but obviously, if you take away the wall rules or you make it closed, I would do a different thing. And just where I'm sort of like, here's my base strategy and I adjust it to different things, you clearly have very different perspectives coming into each rule set that are
Yep.
like, I think, well worked out nicely to fit the needs of those rule sets. Especially
Yep.
playing without
I
walls.
can, and he's quite good at that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you start playing, and what was your favorite era, if you have one?
I cannot for the life of me remember my username on TTX, but I played back then when I was just finishing high school and used to play in accounting class. It's great.
Nice.
And like I said, Kos and I started playing a bit before that. Well, actually, you know what? No, I was gonna say as a cop-out answer, my favorite era was when me and Cito were winning everything. So, wow, I don't know why I changed that pronunciation there, but actually, I'm gonna say this one.
Ooh.
I figured that was a good answer.
Yeah.
Because now we're seeing the elevation of a lot more players. Like Yevon's been on an insane run. Turds is going absolutely bananas. You've been winning everything left and right. It's not all about it's about a handful of players, but the handful of players is bigger.
Yeah. It was nice to see Piggy Man make a deep run too.
Kaus came back and won a tournament. Yeah, Piggy Man came back. Kaus came back and won a tournament after I twisted his arm. But
Final. Cookie won that, which is also, a nice blast from the past.
I mean, same era again.
Yep. Yeah. Tezuka.
I was pulling for him to win, so yeah, Tezuka's great.
Me too. And Kaus played really well in the finals there. He got very unlucky with how the cards landed, I thought.
He did.
Yeah. Generic question, but who are your top 3 to 5 picks for GOAT? Do you have anything spicy in there? Is the right answer
No.
Nimlock?
they're pretty much the same as You have ranked plus Nimloth because he has a special place in my heart for beating me all the time.
Did you ever play Doc Evil?
No,
Okay,
I might have if he was under a different account name, but I don't think I played him in anything major.
interesting. In the Nimloth interview, he was talking about like he and Doc Evil would play games where they just try to make like the silliest move they could make that still wouldn't lose. And I thought
Yep.
that might be a good training method.
It sounds amazing. If you ever want to do that, let me know.
I just don't know if I can bring myself to. But I think it might be
You probably can't. I will do it all day long.
yeah. Maybe someday I'll grow as a person and we'll get there. Uh,
Fair enough.
do you have a favorite rule set or rule sets?
10 all rules except for elemental, random trade.
Trade, which
But
is
nobody will take my game anymore.
which is the best trade rule? Are you a diff guy?
No. No, which is why I did not join the recent TTN tournament because direct is also a little iffy, especially for tournament. Sorry, Dell. Love you, love the idea, but shouldn't be an official tournament.
Sure. Have you met any other Triple Triad players in person?
No, but I talk to Dalamar regularly and we game. Talking to you now, so we talk. And Sleeping Ninja only lives about an hour from me, but that's about the closest.
Huh. Triple Triad really has, or Canada really has a very impressive Triple Triad presence.
Yeah, Sleeping Ninja and Sachi and Cedo and actually, you know what? Small shout out when you guys ever watch this video. I'm going out west next summer. We should set something up.
Nice. Piggyman, Foyer. It's a lot.
Oh, Piggyback. Foyer, I think, is actually out east now.
Ooh, okay.
He was from Quebec, but I think last time I talked to him, he was, yeah, out east for a bit because our time zones were incredibly different. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
What's your biggest weakness as a player? You can evade the question if you think it's targetable, but for my sake, please answer it.
Thinking too much and loud noises.
Sure. All right.
Sorry, that was a personal joke. I should elaborate on that. When I lost to Cedo when we came back, there was a fireworks display going at it, and that's why I mixed-clicked.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah, it happens. Anyway, and no, just getting into my head and over-calculating lines I thought were correct, and they're clearly not.
Is there any other questions I haven't asked that I should have and you'd like to answer?
No, but if there's any you could think of, go for it. I turned the spot back on you.
This is all tricky now. I'm curious because I think, well, I'm curious how much you remember of your early championship runs because, like, I know they meant the world to me, and it's so hard for me to recall any details. And I wonder how well they stuck with you.
The winning ones
Like the
or the
Irvine
losing?
run or Triad Wars 6, your kind of your first big tournament wins.
6, I was ecstatic. I actually could not believe I won that. I thought Cedo was going to run over both of us. Seto, I did it again. Jesus.
He's gonna come in and say it's
6, I
actually
was
pronounced
ecstatic.
Sato.
This is going to sound terrible, but a couple losses stick with me more than wins. Like, I'm super upset at how I played in SE Cypher for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been a nice one for you to have won.
Yeah, and SE Edia, I thought I had a good chance, and just, nope.
Was that right after or right before you won your first TTAC? I think it was right after.
Proving my bad memory, I have no idea.
if I'm remembering right, I think you had just beaten Yojimbo in the finals of TTAC, and then you lost him in the semis of Adia.
That would make sense, and also sadness.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, Yojimbo's an amazing player.
Oh, incredible.
And yeah, and I don't know. I could say a bunch of things about how I was too high after winning the TTAC, but no, he just beat the crap out of me.
I think you do well being respectful of the level of opponents' play. I've never understood it in sports why people are like, yeah, that team sucked, we crushed them. Well, then why is it impressive that you crushed them? Who cares, right?
Exactly.
Like,
So I know you've pointed this out before. There is a very good chance I'm either going to win a tournament or go out in round one.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here, but that was purposeful. But that's because I tend to think that depending on the rule set, everybody has a fair chance. Like, you could be. What's a good way to segue this? Okay, so literally, it was Triad Wars that just finished, right? I'm not making an idiot of myself.
It was TTAC.
No, it was CTP. Shit. Sorry, made an idiot of myself. We had Lucky Loser twice.
Yep.
So I had to look at that. Like, I was terrified of what Sachi was going to do too, because I was preparing to play Slash, and then all of a sudden he couldn't play. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's changing what I'm going to do with this. And then at the end there, I was hoping for Seto to continue our epic battle there, but then Vid came back, and I was so terrified I was going to lose that match, like right away. I'm pretty sure I said that to you too. I might not have, but I was super terrified for the finals there.
It is so good
because
with this format.
Vid is so good and closed. I was super terrified I was going to lose.
Yeah. Also, Sachi won the Open in the first round against Blizzard in a, I thought, really impressive fashion.
Yeah, like it was one of those things that I like the format and I don't at the same time, mainly because it just happened to me twice.
Right.
But I was preparing for Slash for a good week, preparing from what I know of Slash. It's like I can do this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden I'm playing Sachi and it's like, oh,
All of that's out the window. Where does this tournament like stack up and feel for you? Like how relatively excited were you about winning this one? Like it sounds like Triad Wars 6 was maybe the biggest of the individual. Which is right, because that run was insane.
That one is Triad Wars 6 is up there for me all time. But this, I'm not gonna lie, I am actually super stoked about because I could still do it.
You definitely can. Yeah. I was very happy about this one too, for what it's worth.
You were, and thank you for your support. It was backhanded at times, but thank you for your support.
I do feel a little guilty at the start of the tournament. I was like, you helped me with hands last tournament, I'm going to help you with hands this one, and then I did nothing the whole time, and I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
It may have helped you, given what happened.
It might have. Well, it's again gonna sound weird because it's a almost 30-year-old game now. Goddamn, we're old. With all the information that's out there, just the things you were telling me, like even if I took it to heart or not, was just all that information. It informs your decisions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for that. Not to say that he colluded, because I did some things that he did not approve of, by the way.
All right. I guess we'll end it there.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. This was great, and I figured it was better than filling your inbox with a mile-long thing of text.
Oh no, this was fantastic. I am very pleased with this. I'm gonna end the recording now, unless you want a final word on it.
Nope. I had super fun doing this, and don't judge me too harshly, guys.
I don't think that's any risk, but all right. Ending the recording.